I think, oh, look at that. Everything being as a host.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Excellent. So,
So, I am going to email you some articles. I watched a really cool documentary on curiosity streaming. On
curiosity streaming?
yeah,
What does that mean?
Curiosity is a channel about different research studies, different it's like college courses and different things that you can get online.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Some of them are really boring. They're like literally sitting in a lecture for class in a college.
It's got to be something you're interested in.
It was. I was actually watching something on the witches, back in the Salem times and the history of it, but it just the professor that was giving it was so long and boring.
Yeah, that doesn't help. I was listening to lectures. Somebody had uploaded like lectures. I can't even remember the subject matter at this point. Onto Spotify.
Huh. Uh, these are on the new research coming out with gut biomes. And it was really interesting. There's a bunch of research about it coming out of San Diego and how like why a lot of diets fail is it takes almost up to a full year for your gut to completely reset and activate, I guess,
I could see that.
which is why diets fail. No one ever sticks to a diet for a year.
No, we want the quick fix.
But they're also doing a lot of research with things like autism, dementia, and other brain things. And there's the big connection between the gut health and how eating different foods can help ward off, but also, repair parts of your brain. It's really cool.
What was it saying? Like repairs your brain?
Um, it has a lot to do with the connections and the fats,
Mm-hmm.
and also a lot of the different foods helps fix the connections or rewires the connections. It helps build all those pieces up.
It's yeah, that's one of the things. So, oh, it's 12:02. Should we do the intro and then we're going to talk we can certainly keep talking about cognitive stuff because that's actually part of what I wanted to talk about today.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Give me 1 minute. Well, I'm running behind today.
that's a-okay. I don't know where I'm running today.
So, welcome to Fad-Free Food, where flavor meets facts and trends take a back seat. With your host, Beth, and I'm co-hosting Mary today. Linda's coming. Ron's at the appointments. And this
That's
is a
and they
place where we strip away the gimmicks, decode the food fads, and get real about nourishing your body and mind. Whether you're trying
thank
to eat
you.
clean, feed your family, or just tired of conflicting health advice, we serve up clarity and not confusion.
You know what was great is on the news this morning. It might have been CBS, and it was not this morning's news. It was actually last night's news. Um, there was a segment on supplement safety. It was either
Mhm.
CBS or NBC. Those are the only two I watched this morning. Um, there was a whole section on supplement safety and how there is now this increased incidence, so increased occurrences of people having um, liver issues because of and liver injury because of the amount of supplements they're taking. And the supplements, as we've said on here plenty of times, aren't regulated the same way that medications are. And then they're also readily available to anybody that wants to buy them, unlike prescription medications. So, uh, and as I always say, it's important to check with your healthcare provider before introducing a new supplement. And this is one of the big concerns too, is how it's cleared from your body. And I don't think we've really gotten into that. But everything has to leave eventually, right? I know I've said that people don't need a detox because you have a liver and kidneys, and they do filter everything out, including extra pieces of these supplements. Extra pieces either being filler material that's in there or just extra of whatever the supplement is that your body isn't going to use for like energy and functioning. It's all going to leave somehow. Some of it is filtered out in your liver, some of it's filtered out in your kidneys. And you can get kidney or liver damage if you're having too much of that supplement and it's stressing out those organs. So it was great to see it hit national news that supplements aren't this great, effective, safe thing for you to just take and try as you see fit. It's always important to check. Um, and the doctor that they had on, um, made a really good point of it's one thing to like cook with a certain like more of like herbs and spices to get those benefits versus taking it as a supplement. And just because something is labeled herbal or natural doesn't make it safe. So
No,
I
and so
was,
many people are using the supplements instead of food.
yeah, even ones that aren't, like I've seen completely healthy people where taking supplements impacts their liver function and they're exercising, they're eating well, and then they add a supplement and their liver functions get off, a little wonky. And so, and then I'm thinking of somebody specifically, like, then I know that that person can't take those supplements. So even if they want to, even if there would be other benefits, the risk to their liver function is not worth whatever, in this case, like muscle gain benefits they would get from taking it. So it's the role of the provider, either your doctor or sometimes your dietitian. You could even talk to like your pharmacist, who might direct you back to your doctor, of figuring out what are the risks and benefits of taking that supplement. Uh,
I know that was a big thing a few years ago with, like, sports, high school sports, especially, like, football,
mhm.
where they were taking supplements to help build up mass or gain weight or, you know, and it was given out by, like, your gym teachers, your football
Oh my
coaches.
gosh.
Like, creatine was a big thing back in the day.
Which creatine is actually has a ton of different benefits and is great, but it needs to, like, you need to also drink enough water. Anything that involves like creatine or protein, you also need to be drinking enough water. Um, Especially with kids, like high schoolers, I usually recommend against using any kind of supplements.
Well,
There's
I know
just
they put out that big warning, especially with high school kids about weightlifting even, and how it affects their bodies later in life.
it's yeah, you have to do it safely. And the issue is that like during high school years, you're more likely to take risks, right? And so you might do things heavier and faster and not as safe as you necessarily should, when you're thinking about the long term impacts to your body. And like when you're 16, 17, 18, heck, even early 20s, you're not thinking about the long term impact to your body. You're just thinking about like, okay, what's going to get me, zero point 0.2 seconds faster or slightly bigger, slightly stronger, and giving yourself that edge, especially in that athletic realm. Um, and it's just typically not worth it. Same thing with energy drinks. I see plenty of high schoolers drinking energy drinks, and I'm like, you don't need that. It's typically far more caffeine than what is recommended as the upper limit for that age group. Um, it's, if you really feel like you need a cup of coffee, like a small cup of coffee is one thing because it's still going to be less than the 100 milligram upper limit, but um, their little hearts already beat so fast.
Yes.
um, that's something that I don't think a lot of people know is that children have faster heartbeats than adults. And so I don't remember because I typically work with an adult population, but I just remember that it is faster. And so you're going to take that and speed it up even more. Like they're going to feel like they're going to fly away. Um, and it's just not necessary.
I remember
A
with my
lot of
kids, that's what scared me was feeling their heartbeat, and it's like a hummingbird.
yeah,
And the doctor goes,
yeah,
"Oh, that's normal."
absolutely. Yeah. I remember once taking my son to the doctor and they were worried because his heart rate was slow. And I want to say his heart rate was at like 70 or 80. And like they considered that to be really slow for his age at the time. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, if I came in here like that, I better have just come from doing like a steady walk to come. I think he was at like 80. Um, so, yeah. And it's not that it's, and this goes into like, okay, well, what about like children that need stimulant medications to manage their ADHD? Like that's different. That is highly regulated and dosed and appropriate for the situation. You're not self-medicating, right? Um, that it's you're watching the dosages and it's timed and planned and all kinds of things. So it's not the same as a food intervention or a supplement intervention. That's a prescribed medication. So this is not, especially with kids, one of the biggest things that I used to talk about with teenagers was like cognition and brain development and actually making sure you're getting in enough healthy fats. And so that would be things like omega 3s. So the fat you find in fish is a really great example of an omega 3 that helps with brain development. And of course, there aren't a lot of people that are like, oh, yes, let me grab a piece of salmon when you're a teenager. But if you are, like, amazing. And it's something that I try to get my kids into eating now so that maybe they like it. Which I don't know if it's working. My one will eat it, my other one won't, and they sit at the same table. So who knows? Um,
I love salmon. So.
That is
Me
my world
too.
every day.
Welcome, Linda.
Yes,
Um,
thanks.
yeah,
Sorry, late.
and it's there are some plant sources. I'm trying to find some better options than telling you about purslane, um which is like typically seen as a weed in gardens, at least in like the
Oh,
Northeast, but it's an omega
For
3
omega
rich
3?
plant. Yeah. Usually we pull it as a weed. Oh, flaxseed, of course. Flaxseed, walnuts, edamame all have omega 3s as well. So your nuts and seeds,
I love
right?
almonds.
Yeah. And those are important for brain function, right? And so building up um, a good cognition, a good level of brain function truly starts in childhood and what kinds of foods you have to eat. And especially like we were saying, omega 3s, adequate sources of protein help with the development as well. And then interestingly, as we age, what becomes most protective is carbohydrate intake and making sure that we're having some really great sources of carbohydrates to maintain some of that maintain as much as we can of that cognition and not have that cognitive decline of older age. So,
Brussels
and I
sprouts has high content of omega 3.
how
They have
much
it's
comparatively?
135 mg ALA per a half a cup.
I love Brussels sprouts.
That's interesting. I want to see if we can get like a good chart of different things. Because if I can find a nice chart, I will throw it in the chat. Um, the one I'm looking at right now is from Harvard Medical School. It's not a chart, it's still a list. Because I was going to see like how much is in each thing, you know? But I will certainly copy this link and put it in the chat for anyone who is interested. Oh, question, Mary. Do the chat pieces stay even on the recording? Like, will people be able to see that later?
Yep.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, I double
So
checked that one.
that's great. I love it. It's just so interesting to me that how you eat as a child and even as a young adult continues to affect you into like old age and the rest of your life, right? And it's like I said earlier, like you're not thinking about that, especially as a teenager, of like, how's this going to change? How's this going to impact me when I'm 80? Like, how's this going to impact my bone health? How's this going to impact my brain function and my muscle mass? Um, because one of the other things with like healthy aging is looking at muscle mass, and it's something that you you want to build up when you're younger and maintain as you get older. I'm not talking bodybuilding. I'm talking like functional strength, being able to like stand up from sitting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being able to lift the groceries. This is not like, squatting your body weight or anything like that. If you have kids, being able to carry your children without throwing your back out, that kind of stuff. I can still just lift my 10-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not carrying him around anywhere, but I can still lift him, and I feel like that is a significant win. Um, it's it'd be a little much to carry him around. Maybe like a piggyback, but not like on my hip for sure.
Right, right.
He's I give it
Those
2
days
years
are
until
over.
he's as tall as I am anyway.
Then he'll be carrying you.
Yeah, oh, for sure. I'm gonna switch that right up on him. Be like, "My legs are tired. Pick me up."
Well, it's like
Um,
people don't realize that your bone density, you hit your peak bone density mass at the age of 18.
Mm,
90% of your peak bone density.
yeah, so bone density is really interesting, and that's something that especially women need to be very aware of because as our hormones change, we're at an increased risk for osteoporosis. But yeah, you peak, you have a certain point where you're no longer building bone density, and what you're looking to do at that point is just maintain and minimize the amount of loss.
mhm.
Um, so things that help with bone density are essentially like things with impact, right? And there's a horrible, horrible trend out there right now called bone smashing, where you're like hitting yourself with a hammer.
What?
We're not doing that. Let's not do that. Please, because that's extremely dangerous. But what I'm talking about in terms of impact would even be something like walking is an
Mm,
impact, right, to the foot, um, or actually jumping. So, jumping exercises or even like
mhm.
jumping jacks and a little bit of light weight training can also help with bone density.
When I was going through some
Above and beyond.
problems with my
Yeah.
bone density, um, my doctor did not want me to use like an exercise bike. I needed to be doing I can't remember how he put it, but um walking, jumping jacks, um that walking in place program that I do, um
Yeah.
because it had to be, and then for a while, I was on a medicine that was shot, an injection, and now, last time I had the bone density, he said I don't need that anymore because my bones have um, stabilized and gotten better, which is really nice because,
That's
I was,
good.
yeah. So I was on the, oh, it starts with a P, and I cannot remember. It's one that they advertise
See?
on TV, but I was on that, and my last bone density came that I did not need to be taking the injections anymore. But again, keeping up with, you know, walking um, and, doing, you know, it sounds silly at my age to be doing jumping jacks, but believe it or not, it's a really good exercise.
I always think of the old 50s workout videos. You see, like, in the movies that people used to go to out and work out, the ladies doing
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
like you did in gym class, the spit, like the windmill and the bending over and all these different exercises that we don't do anymore, and they all had a purpose.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
worked.
yeah. And you don't have to go out, you don't have to buy a bunch of equipment, you don't have to, you know, you know,
It's
Change your
not
clothes.
flashy, right? Like, that's the thing, is that that's not flashy
right.
or, like, trendy. It's very simple, and it's a return to the basics, and sometimes that doesn't get the same response,
Mm,
um, as something that's, like, flashy and new, even if it
yeah, yeah.
is, um, equally as good, if not better.
Some days for me, when I don't know I'm not gonna get enough exercise in, I actually clean my house more, and I, like, manually wash the floor by hand, with
Yeah,
a
that's
rag or
movement.
bucket.
Mhm.
Actually, if we're talking about, like, general movement for overall health, um, vacuuming
I was just
is
going
a
to say that vacuuming.
is
Yeah.
great for specifically fat loss. Like, doing a solid vacuuming of your entire house where it's taking you more than 30 minutes and you're bending and moving, and that low level of movement is phenomenal,
And
for
stretching,
very specifically fat
stretching.
loss.
And it even tightens up that area, especially after you have kids and C-sections.
Mhm.
Oh,
'Cause
well, yeah.
I was restricted off of doing things like that after I had 2 C-sections for a while,
Yeah.
because I tore my, stitches open.
Ah,
Oh
Yep.
my gosh.
That is the only good point. I always had a high pain tolerance, and I never realized why. Well, that's one of the benefits of autism is that when I get hurt,
You don't feel it?
you don't
I don't
notice
feel
it
it as
as much.
bad. Like, I'll get bruises, and my husband will like, "What'd you do?" I go, "I have no idea."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Um,
My kids are the same way. They're always looking like they got beat up.
and they have no idea where it came from.
No.
That's hey, listen, I guess I don't know. There's good and bad to everything. It's nice that they're not like traumatized by it, I guess.
They're doing dumb things, and the kids being kids, jumping off of things onto things, and,
Yeah, yeah.
my kids are very active.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, is that hopefully it's an indication that they're up and moving, and then that's something that hopefully they'll continue throughout their lives. Um, and it's interesting to watch how uh the things we do when we're young impact us as we age. And it's not to say that, like, oh, if you've reached a certain age, there's no point in changing your behavior, right? It's like, oh, well, I'm 35, like, why bother? Um, it's uh, it's more to just highlight, like, what you do as a young adult and what you do as a child does in fact impact you later on. And so, to the best you can, make the best decisions you can. And it's also part of what I'm working on right now is some talking points around, like, food security, And so, thinking about it from a food security perspective, if you don't have access to those foods to support healthy eating, and so for children, it's really whether or not their parents have access to those foods to support a healthy diet. It's going to not only impact them as children and like their performance in school, which is the whole point of like school breakfast, school lunch to help improve um, like school performance and reduce hunger in school age children. But then it's like, how is that impacting them, 60 years from now?
Mhm.
Um, and
I
how
know
does that
some
impact?
states, Minnesota's one of them, if you're on food assistance or if your children qualify for low income or reduced or free lunches in school, they have a
Mhm.
program for food stamps where the kids get so much money for the summer
Yeah.
to so they have food.
Yeah. Some places do it as like a money to use for food. Some places do um, like almost like congregate meal sites where you can go and get school lunch, right? And like a brown bag lunch. I remember like in the city near me, it's usually in like very like central areas. So like parks and things like that where either the kids are going to be anyway or are easily walkable, which then you get to the point of like, okay, well, what about the areas that aren't walkable? How are they getting food? um,
I know
and I
like
know
our
a lot of those,
counties here give the kids food stamp cards
yeah,
and it's
but then they have
so
to be able
much
to go
money.
somewhere and use it.
Yeah.
Can you use them online? I know some places you
Yeah.
can actually use them on the online grocery stores.
You can do it like Amazon or Walmart. A lot of grocery stores accept it online,
Mhm.
and they'll
Yeah.
even do free delivery if since you qualify.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that's one of the big things is like the actual physical access to getting that food. Like um even if you do have benefits, even if you know that there's a local food pantry or like something like that, a lot of times it's like, okay, well, how do I physically get there? And it's like, okay, if you're going to give me this like box of food for the week, how am I then going to carry it home? Um, and so, like, delivery offerings are huge, huge helps, especially for people that are like can't carry, right? Don't have that functional strength to carry their groceries.
Or
Or
if
I
you got a
mean,
big family, you got a lot of stuff you're
that's
bringing
yeah.
home.
Or sometimes it's just too much. It doesn't matter how strong you are. It's just
Yeah.
physically too much. Um, and so yeah, delivery is huge. And like I don't know if I mentioned on here if it was another presentation I did. Like I tried out delivery um for my own groceries. Total game changer. And the grocery store is not that far, but I didn't have to stop what I was doing, like in terms of working. I had it delivered during the workday while I was at home working and just put my food away on my
Well,
lunch break.
and here's the nice thing. So if you're on county assistance, Amazon and Walmart Plus programs both are half off. So you're only paying 6-7 bucks a month.
That's yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot. For somebody it might be a lot, but that doesn't, 6 or 7 bucks a month I can budget in for sure.
Especially if you get free deliveries in the whole deal. You get your food
Yeah.
stamps added to your Amazon or, Walmart, depending on where you live, because Amazon delivers everywhere.
We
That's a
may try
huge
that
that'll save you.
grocery delivery, especially in the winter, when
Game changer
um,
for sure.
I never thought of that, because, we can, we're pretty mobile. Growing up, half the time, most of the time, we did not own an automobile, a car, um, but we would walk to the grocery store with our shopping. Now, not a shopping cart that we took from the grocery store. Mom had this basket
Like a hand
on
cart.
wheels.
The little
Yeah,
square basket thing.
Yeah.
yeah. So
They're coming back.
that's what we did as, growing up. Um,
That's excellent that it was
See,
like
like
walkable like that.
see, I still don't have a car. My mom
Really?
takes me to the grocery store. Yeah, I don't drive. I'm working on it, but I have really bad anxiety from military stuff when it comes to being in a
Ah,
car.
Do you know how old
got
I
it.
was when I got my license? Now, Ron was like 16. I was 40 when. But growing up without a car, it's one of those things that, you don't. And again, now, of course, I drive, but it was, you know, it was just one of those things. I had a permit, because once I married Ron, it's like, what do you mean you don't know how to drive? And so, but I never got my license until I was 40 years old. Um,
You want a funny story?
yeah.
Oh,
I had my
sure.
pilot's license to drive or fly a helicopter before I had a car license. And this is
Well,
back
I
in
mean,
the, like, late '90s, so women jokes were still okay. So the joke in my platoon was it was safer for women drivers to be in the air because there's less things to hit than on the ground.
oh
I
my goodness.
literally learned how to drive in a Humvee.
You know what? I mean, I that sounds like a lot of fun.
Mhm.
It's um yeah, so
But,
I will actually be on TV this afternoon talking about older adult nutrition
Wow,
and food
wonderful,
security.
wonderful.
Yeah,
awesome. Send the link, we'll promote it.
yeah, it's taped, it's not live. So um so I when I get the link for it, I will certainly share it out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cool,
we'll add
cool.
it to your show.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
different kind of platform. I got to be in front of the camera.
Oh, well,
We
you're
can
so
upload it onto
beautiful.
here.
You'll look great. It would be wonderful.
It's as long as I don't slouch.
Yeah, one of
It's
the
my
cool
posture.
things that, the city of San Antonio did when they used to be the fattest city in the nation. They had
Really.
an extreme obesity rate. And so what the mayor did is he would literally shut down blocks. And he would have different activities from tricycle races to runs to different dancing events, just different things to get the communities up and exercising. And it was the first Saturday of every month. And
Hmm.
then he expanded it to every other week and it kept going as people showed up into this. And it was all free.
That's
They just
awesome.
move it to different blocks throughout the area and everyone kept adding more things to it. It was really cool.
That's great in terms of like promoting not only community but physical activity too. Um, that and this goes back to and I like the blue zones, and there was a whole Netflix documentary on the blue zones
Mhm.
around the world where people live to like much older ages. And one of the big things is not only just how they're eating, um, but also their activity and their level of community involvement. So the people that lived longer had either family, but it was usually more than just family, like a bigger community directly around them that they were very involved in. Um, so it might be that they had like an intergenerational home where there's a few generations living together, more than just like parents, children, right? Like maybe the grandparents, parents, children kind of a thing.
Mhm.
Or there were like community meals together like once a week or something. Or like what you were talking about, Mary, would count too, where it's like the whole neighborhood coming together to do this physical activity. And I feel like we get very siloed, especially with the internet, or like build these online communities. And I don't know, I genuinely don't know if the online communities have the same benefit that an in person gathering would have,
Right, right. Just
right? In
coming
terms
home
of,
just now from the doctors, we passed a sign that we live right near Casnovia Park, which is just a wonderful park. Our park
Mhm.
system was done by Olmsted, who did, um, what's it, New York City park? I'm drawing a blank.
Oh, Central
Central
Park?
Park.
Central Park in New York. But he designed the parks in Buffalo. And there's a big poster, Day in the Park, June 14th, and 1 to 10 with fireworks at 10. And we always try to go to these, the Day in the Parks. They have music, they have raffles, they have food, they have just a wonderful, wonderful time. Um,
Hmm.
and so hopefully the weather will be, hopefully we can get some warm weather. It's raining again, of course, here.
Yeah, I
But,
know.
and just to get out, it's just this wonderful neighborhood get together, and it's a lot of fun every time they have one.
It's, I know that local to me, there are really active senior centers um, that actually my parents have started to get involved in, even though I feel like they don't consider themselves seniors, but they are. Um, and but they've got like different classes and different exercise groups and things,
Mhm,
and that way they're connecting with people. Or like my grandma moved into like a senior living apartment, and
mhm.
so um, she's listen, her social calendar is full. She's 90,
Oh,
and
yes.
her social calendar is packed. You got to schedule in advance if you're gonna go see her or invite her somewhere.
With my mom's mom, when she was in the senior, you'd go to visit her, and she said, "Well, can't talk. I'm going to whatever." She was always on the go.
Yeah.
And my mom, when she was until she was in the nursing home a couple years ago, she for 10 years lived in a senior apartment. And one time she called all excited because we got a WII. It's the we.
Oh, we. I'm like, what's a WII?
Yeah.
But again, that's something, and I feel like there's been definitely a few instances where people have tried to, different companies being people, uh, incorporate physical activity into video games, right? The Wii is one great example. Um, and it's,
They
yeah, I don't
mentioned
know. I feel like it doesn't
bowling.
always work.
Well, they had bowling. They had a couple things that they did for a while.
See, my
Yeah.
daughter
Oh, yeah.
loves the boxing game on the Switch, which is the new version of the Wii.
Yeah.
And so she's literally Mark the controllers are set up perfectly to where she's gotta actually move her feet at the same time, and
Hmm.
it won't continue on and keep correcting her until she gets her feet moving, then puts the punches in. So she
Good.
literally has to not sit on her butt.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, I forget how we got here, but yes, incorporating movement and really having things, it's not as hard as it seems. And I feel like what we're trying to do with this podcast, right, is sort through all the noise that's out there, because there's all of these like, oh, I should do this. Oh, I should do that. And like, nothing's changing, nothing's working. And as you were saying, Mary, I think before the show started, like it can take a year um, to see any kind of change, but especially like really solidify long-term changes from lifestyle changes. Um, it's not an overnight thing. Um, you want to commit to something, commit to a lifestyle change that you can do over and over again. And no, it's not flashy to just make sure that you're eating a vegetable with your lunch, but it's something that can be done over and over, and isn't a huge mental load either. We've got enough other things going on that like we don't need to add to the mental load of things. So I feel like there's this, especially like online push to really delve super deep into like your exact macronutrients and your micronutrients, and are you using the right vitamins. But if you're not, but it can be as simple as like following a healthy plate model like my plate and using that as your guidance. Um, and it
One of
can
these
be that
shows, you need
simple.
to explain to me My Plate. I just cannot grasp my head around the My Plate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tool. I mean, we've got 20 minutes. I can do a little bit of it, but you know what? Let's
Sure.
save it for next week. Let's save it for next week.
Yeah,
I'm making myself a note um to do my plate,
Okay.
and then we can
because
do a
it
whole thing on it
yeah,
because
so
there's
I don't know
different versions
why,
based
but
on your needs.
it's confusing for me for some reason. I don't know why. That was the
Yeah,
part of the
no, I
exam when
will.
I was taking my nutrition stuff that I failed when I was in the Army because I just could not grasp it.
No, it's a great teaching tool, and so we can certainly go through that next time, more in depth of like what kinds of foods go into each category, because the idea was to create something simple that can be used no matter where you are, right? You're not trying to figure out how many calories are in the sandwich you bought from the deli. You can say, okay, like I've got my bread, my protein, but this one slice of lettuce is not enough to count as a vegetable, so what else can I use? Like, um to make it really basically. um, and trying to simplify nutrition versus counting like, okay, well, what's a serving size of this? If anybody remembers the food pyramid, which we don't use anymore, for anybody who does see it mentioned, that is not what we use anymore. But uh, with that, if anybody remembers, there was like, oh, you need to have like 6 to 12 servings, or I think it was like 6 to 11 servings of carbohydrates, and so many servings of vegetables, and this many servings of dairy, versus, and then it's like, okay, well, now I need to learn what is a serving size according to the pyramid guidelines, because that's not the same as what's on the package, right? And so you're doing this like mental gymnastics to try to figure out how much of what you should be eating, just to, you know,
Yeah.
be healthy, like not even manage a chronic condition, just be healthy. Um, and and the idea behind the my plate model was to simplify it, of like, okay, cool. If you're looking at your plate of food, this is what you want to see. And then you're not measuring and weighing and counting like number of servings per day. You're just focused on being present in the here and now with your current meal. Um, and there's also something to be said for like just sitting down and being present with your food while you're eating. Uh, that can actually assist in digestion. Uh, and then you actually utilize your food a little bit better. So, versus like standing up to eat or being stressed and eat or rushing to eat. Um, you usually end up like taking bigger bites and not chewing all the way. So even functionally from like a physical digestion perspective, you're doing things differently, but then you're also in like a different state, if you will, in your body, and you're you're not in that rest and digest phase, which is where you would normally want to be when you're trying to, digest.
Mm.
um, so you can actually have better digestion and less like GI upset or gas and bloating if you actually slow down when you eat and take the time to sit and enjoy your meal. Which also happens if you're eating with other people, right? Going back to that idea of doing things with a community and being with others, one of the ways that helps with slowing down your eating is to eat with someone else and have a conversation and interact. And that way, you're doing more than one thing at once. You're getting some community time, some interaction, as well as slowing down your eating. I guess don't have a heated argument while you eat. That would defeat the purpose. That would be the only caveat. Don't argue while you're doing it.
But also not to be on your phone. I've seen, I mean, not in our house, but I've seen people even at restaurants. They're all together as a family eating. They're all on the phone. It's like that's so sad.
It
One thing I
is.
did like about COVID is they took the TVs out of places like McDonald's.
Mm.
Oh, they was that a COVID thing?
Yeah, because you weren't supposed to stay in a restaurant anymore. It used to be they wanted you to sit there and stay there so that order more food.
Oh. See, we didn't go anywhere. We didn't go in anywhere for so long. I didn't even notice. We didn't go and inside like a restaurant or a store, I think until probably like a year later, maybe more.
Well,
Mm.
we still don't go into restaurants just because it's too much for my kids. But one of the things that I noticed, but kids, I just see them glued to TV sets.
It's yeah, we have to have limits, and a lot of this comes down to me actually holding up the boundary um of the
Yeah, but your
limit
kids are still pretty
because
active and they still have that great imagination where a lot of kids don't.
they though I can see it happening with my daughter where like she's also starting to associate watching TV with having a snack somehow. And I'm not sure where that's coming from because I'm like, you just ate lunch. You don't need a snack. You just think you need a snack because you're sitting in front of the TV. So I'm like, that's not how we do this. Like if you're hungry, turn it off. Um and like because we don't eat every once in a while we'll have the TV on during dinner, but for the most part, we do not. It's like a special occasion thing if we're gonna do that. Um because it's distracted eating and you tend to overeat or you can eat too quickly and things like that. It's not the same as having a conversation. Like that's not considered distracted eating, like the TV. Uh, yeah, but that's an interesting thing I'm watching. There's a lot of psychology with eating in terms of like when we perceive that we're hungry. Sometimes it's just a good memory. So like she probably has a good memory tied to having a snack in front of the TV and so is looking to recreate that feeling at 6. Like it's um and so like it's uncomfortable and it's a fight, but I'm like, no, if you're hungry, we're gonna turn it off and you can certainly have a snack. Like it's not that I'm saying you can't eat, but um you don't
I'll never
we're not
forget
doing
we had gone to now this is going back quite a few years, but I remember being at this bar restaurant and eating, and we realized we were eating so fast because we were eating to the music. In a bar, they
that.
have loud
Interesting.
music so that you drink fast and buy more. Well, we realized we were eating almost to the beat of the music. We were eating that fast. And it just like, it's like, whoa, wait, slow down. I'll never forget that. And so, which is why, like in fine dining, maybe they have more classical music and, have more of an experience. But this was, a corner bar restaurant. Um, and the music was so loud. And we both realized at the same time that, wow, this is, it was, and so we're more aware of that ever since then, and that was like in the 90s that happened, but I'll never forget it.
That's so interesting. I never thought about that. Like the environment definitely would shape the way that you interact with your food, including the music,
Mhm,
because we tend to kind of fall into that rhythm. It's one of the things when I used to run is I had a playlist that was at a certain rhythm so that
mhm.
I would run at a certain pace.
Right.
Interesting. And that's like what cadences are for in the military, is to get you to march at a certain
Mm-hmm.
pace.
I still use those to
Um,
run. There's a great playlist on Spotify for that.
hey, whatever works.
That is like
Um,
when I'm shoveling snow or doing something where I just need that oomph. That's what I
it works for
use.
shoveling snow too.
It does. It keeps me going.
It's
Um,
funny, I'm a counter. So I would, when I'm doing something, I'll start count. I mean, things that don't need to be counted, but and I think it's that cadence type thing too.
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely it is. It's interesting. We're such creatures of habit. We do love a good habit of some kind.
Well, and that's what I find so funny. Like, one of the things with autism is, and I'm just getting into this just quickly, is the repetitive or the routine. But we all in
Hmm.
society are routine people.
Mm-hmm.
We like to know what's coming next.
Yeah.
It reduces some anxiety for sure. And you can't always know, but like, this is why, even if you're, bringing it back to food and nutrition, even if your meal plan isn't like food prepping and having everything all put together in the fridge, at least knowing what's coming, of like, all right, I'm going to cook these nights and here are my recipes and I have the ingredients in the house. We're going out to eat this night. Um, or like we're ordering takeout this night, and kind of knowing what's coming is so helpful. Like, it helps you stay on track, and also feel like you've got some semblance of control
Control.
on your
Yes.
life.
Yes. Yes. Well,
Um,
it's funny too, just coming back from, Ron just had the barium swallowing tests again. Um, and just, you know, when you take a drink of something, you don't give it thought. Well, he has to relearn and give it a lot of thought every time he swallows something. Um,
yeah,
and so, but again, it's it's getting into a habit, getting into a routine to do something a little out of the ordinary. That's in the end is going to really pay off very, very good. Um, and
I wonder if it would help him if he started sucking on suckers.
I'd leave that
um,
up to like the speech therapist.
I don't, I don't know. His problem is liquids. He can eat and swallow um, liquids, and so he just has to be. Just there's a number of steps. So it's yeah, so I don't think the suckers, because even saliva going down is can be a problem. So um it's not that he has a dry throat or anything that he would
No,
need
no, it's just
something.
retrain the muscles because the movements you're doing when you're sucking, it's like babies. Why we give them a plug.
Yeah.
It helps build those muscles in your throat.
It's yeah, I would definitely leave it because to the
Yeah,
like
ask your
speech
I'd ask.
therapist, or
Yeah,
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 but
yeah.
it could be a question, but that's something that they have so many different techniques for.
Yeah, it's really
Um,
cool. I mean, amazing what
mhm.
it's so neat to see um the moving X-ray, a moving
Yeah,
movie X-ray. Because he'll have it, and then Jordan, who is the doctor, will bring me in and say, okay, this is what's going on. So it's really interesting. But um it's again, just like eating healthy, it's just training yourself just to do it. Like you
mhm.
said, make sure you always have a vegetable, because sometimes we may have soup and sandwich, um, but just always make sure that we throw in more vegetables. We eat a
It's
lot of fruit, but it's the veggies that I have to get more into.
and we do. I always keep baby carrots in the fridge because that's such an easy thing for me to pull out, and I know it'll be accepted. Um, and I don't have to do anything to it. Like even, or I've had people where I recommend that they just keep like a veggie tray in the fridge. And sure, you're paying for the convenience of it being cut up.
You'd
But
eat it because it's
right, but
true.
you're going to eat it. So like if I bought a head of broccoli and some celery and I don't know, like big carrots, and then was putting the onus on myself to cut all of that up and put it in a container, it's not going to happen. I
Mm-hmm.
don't, but, and so it's just going to kind of sit in the drawer versus if I get a veggie tray, I know it's all going to get eaten. Or like the baby carrots, I know are going to get eaten. So yeah, usually if we're doing anything and like having family over, I always get a veggie tray and then the leftovers get eaten throughout the week.
That's a good point.
So it's, yes, you're paying for the convenience, but you're also probably having less food waste
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
We tend to regularly buy both veggie trays and fruit trays in our house. It's just easier.
yeah,
Less mess. You
it's
don't have to kind of
whatever
read the book.
works. Yeah, it's whatever's going to get it in. And if you can, why not?
And for them, it looks
So,
cool. They think it's some treat.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to argue with them. It's like my daughter uses the excuse now, or her threat is, "I'm going to go read a book." Then, fine.
oh, okay.
Go there.
Got it. Like, oh no, don't read.
That's what I've been
How could
doing.
you?
I'll go look in her room. The TV's off. She's actually sitting there reading a book. I'm like, okay.
That's, I mean, that's great. And it's
So right
something
now, books are bad at our house, so that she keeps doing it.
that's, yeah. Um, yeah, we have reading time at night for everyone. And I've been doing a physical book, right? Because as parents, we are modeling behaviors, whether or not we realize that they're looking. And so instead of reading from my phone, which then just looks like I'm on my phone, I read a physical book
Mm.
so that they can see that that's what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because there were a couple times where I think it was my son that was like, "Well, you're on your phone all the time," and I was like, "I'm literally reading, like I'm on my Kindle app reading a book." But that's not what it looks like.
Good point.
So,
Good point.
yeah. So we've had quite a few conversations of like, well, what do you do on your phone? And I'm like, I pay bills and read. Like this is not as fun as you think. So, oh, we've got this goes by so quickly. We have 3 minutes left. So I'll shameless self plug. Um,
Good.
of course, everybody can please follow the show on Podbean. And leave comments so that I can see what you are interested in, right? How like Mary asked about my plate. And it's like, cool. Well, next week we'll take some time and we'll go through my plate and answer that question. Otherwise, we're just talking about what I want to talk about. Um, and then you can also follow me on Instagram, which is evolve double underscore DN as in dietitian nutritionist. And then, of course, we still have our Facebook group and our,
Skylar
gosh, why am
Network.
I blanking? Skylar Network. I'm like, it's an S.
It's at the tip of my tongue.
Yeah.
By
Like, what
next
is it?
month, everything will be converted off Facebook.
Off of Facebook. Interesting.
Yeah.
Are we leaving that?
Eventually.
Okay. It looks like there's a new message, but I can't scroll down for some reason.
Um,
Um,
Oh, maybe not. I don't know.
Someone entered the room.
Oh, okay.
Into the live studio. Okay. Well, thank you, Mary. Thank you, Beth. I really appreciate you guys. I always learn things, and it really, this show is just so helpful because it's such good, real information. Not um, try this, crazy diet, and no,
Mhm.
it's eat healthy, and um, you know, just real life, and things that we can do. I just remember somebody saying, "I'll do anything to lose weight." Okay, eat less and move more. No, but I don't want to do that, but I'll do anything to, you know.
And sometimes that is the answer, and that's always the place to start. And sometimes, yes, it takes more than just eat less, move more. And like in my case, it's just a move more. I've just, I don't, my life has become so sedentary. Um, but
And remember, it
it,
may take a while, more than just, 60, 90 days for your system to reset.
yeah.
Yes, it's not like those TV commercials, that, oh, in 3 months I lost, 100 pounds. It's like, if you lose 100 pounds in 3 months, you have something wrong, but, it's just, it's like, I always say I would love to have the cold medicine that works on the commercials. They're laying in bed with a stuffy nose and they take this, and then suddenly they're out playing with their kids. It's like, it
Oh,
doesn't,
if only.
never works like that for me. But,
No,
um,
don't. Or the allergy meds that makes it all of a sudden all better.
mhm, instantly,
They
instantly.
they put me to sleep. No matter, even non-drowsies put me to sleep.
I had
But
to be
it's,
talked into taking allergy medicine because of that.
yeah, yeah. So,
And so
well,
join us tonight at
yeah.
9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central with Cracking the Spectrum, and we're gonna talk about um, goals and interventions, and if they're not working, why they're not working, and how to change them,
Hmm.
and understanding how a lot of times the goals are set up to fit society, not how the person is wired. So they need to be modified for that person.
Okay.
Mm,
Wonderful. Wonderful.
And this works for anybody, special or not.
very cool. Well, thank you guys.
You have a
So
wonderful week, and we look forward to knowing what is going to be on our plate next Wednesday,
All
noon
yes.
right.
noon Eastern time. Thanks, Gal.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.